Well, the guy's in his 40s and he's never been married, so there's something obviously wrong with him. Welcome to another dosage of truth that's going to be shoved right up your ass because we're so sick of the lies you tell yourselves. I heard this one frequently. Not frequently. I heard it like today and then a week ago, which was frequently. So obviously, and we've heard this all before, that if the guy isn't married, there's something wrong with him. Now, I don't have the empirical data. I didn't do an economic study. I didn't do a demographical study. This is merely taking in all the guys I know who are 40 plus and not married, and doing a study on each of these, taking a look at them, and kind of realizing, no, they're pretty good guys, and there's damn good reasons they haven't been 40, and why if you're 40, male or female, but typically this is a slander upon males, that there's nothing wrong with you. Matter of fact, you're probably in a really supreme position. Let me explain to you the men I know in their 40s. They're very well off, they have no debt, they have no illegitimate children, and they have no divorce and no ex-wives. Now, of course, that's the criticism. You see, they're perfect. They're not flawed. They didn't fuck up. They didn't marry somebody that they weren't supposed to get married to and ended up getting divorced. We call that fucking up. And they also weren't doubly stupid to have kids either in that marriage that was doomed to fail or outside of a marriage, in which case you fucked up. So since there's so many fuck-ups in the world that cannot actually have good-looking, decent, respectable guys who are in the 40s who never got married, they got to say, oh, he turned me down, or he's not married to girls, he's did it because there's something wrong with him. When as far as I can tell, looking at all the people I know who are in their 40s, men who are not married, they're actually they're prizes. They're prizes. They're making money. They got no debts. They got houses. They got careers. They're good looking. They're in shape. And another thing, a lot of my, not just my friends, but the people I knew who waited, the men who were like past 40 before they got married, these guys had another, they were in music. They had another talent. It wasn't just Ward Cleaver making money, paying off his debts, and debt free and a good career. One guy's a dancer and plays multiple musical instruments. Another one's an entrepreneur. A third was an entrepreneur, and he just traveled. I mean, it's just some interesting fellows. And one guy taught himself French and Vietnamese on the internet. I mean, these are not losers. These are really high IQ, highly so. Oh, and they're all in shape. One guy could stand and lose a little weight. He's just busy working. But these are catches. You girls wish you could have these guys. And there are girls in the 20s going after them. So the primary complaints of these gals who are single mom, or they're divorced, or they have bastard children, and then they have to defend their mistakes, because we can never own up to our own responsibilities. The definition of an American is somebody who will always blame others for their fuck-ups. And so, because men in their 40s are starting to shoot down women in their 30s, especially the divorced or never married single moms, well, you're the one with the problem. I don't have the problem. You do. Right. Your fucking baggage with your bastard children and a divorce and an ex-husband or a jealous ex-boyfriend who's going to come here with a shotgun or stalks you or me. Oh, no, yeah, you're the fucking prize to be sought after. Not me and my fucking convertible or my boat and my house that's bought and paid for, or my no student loans. So let me explain how these men get into their 40s. And somebody, tell me if you haven't noticed this, but if you're not married by the time you're 40 and you don't have kids, at least the men that I have witnessed with those traits, they have more or less followed a pattern where they were not brought up rich, they didn't have resources, and they had to become their own man. And the reason they never got married at 40 or before 40 is simply because they couldn't afford a wife or children. They were the smart guys who did some math and realized that when they were poor, probably because their mom was a single mom, their dad was a deadbeat dad, they were brought up under a broken home. They said, I'm never fucking doing this forever. Now I know you girls who keep voting for socialism and government and higher taxes. You think the government check is your friend and your dad. We just spend more money on children. Well, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And the opposite and equal reaction is that the private sector economy, or the overall economy actually, has started to slow down. And ever so generally speaking, the private sector employs men, the public sector employs women. Ever so generally, I know there's both. So as the economy slows down, but our population keeps growing, there's less and less economic opportunity for these men to get employed. You also throw in some student loan debt and all that, and maybe a financial crisis or two, be it the dot-com bubble bursting or the housing crisis. Well, these men who were brought up poor, and, really, right here, number one, talking about it myself, where you're like, wow, I can barely afford a sub sandwich. I gotta sleep in a basement to make ends meet. We're not too keen on just sticking our dick in any hole without protection. And we're not too keen about proposing marriage to women if we can't even fucking support ourselves. Because women, I want babies! I want your babies! Patter, patter of little feet! And we gotta pay for it. So, since we did that, not to mention dating a lot of you girls in the 90s and the early aughts was not exactly fun, we're kind of like, whoa, hang on here. we got to get everything right. We got to get our finances together. So by the time we get the student loans paid off, we finally battle our way into some kind of career. This is in 1947 where people hiring men left and right. Matter of fact, it's like, don't hire men, hire women, hire anybody but men, fuck men. So after we claw ourselves onto this morsel of a career and we live incredibly cheaply, and then we finally figure out we have to become entrepreneurs, we have to have an entrepreneurial venture on the side, and we also have this concept of finite mortality. We spend our time learning interesting things, starting to become the world's most interesting man, although we're kind of zygote stage right there. You got to be 60, at least 55 to be this guy, but anyway, we're not there yet. So we get this modicum of hope. We finally pay off our debts. We finally get a house. We live dirt cheap. We live minimalistically. We pay off it. So by the time we're actually comfy to start thinking about having women and children, wives and children, we're 40. That's called wisdom. That's called the way it should fucking be done. And that's called the consequences of you girls replacing the private sector economy and employment for males with a check from Barack Obama. And there is absolutely nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, it is 100% right, the men who are 40 or over that never got married and didn't have children. That's how it's supposed to be done. Now, of course, if we were to allow for free markets and lower taxes and actually champion the family instead of a government check, then some of these men would have found jobs fresh out of college. They wouldn't have had quite the student loans that we would have had. And they might have had the finances to actually put together a family and raise a family. All right? You didn't wait for that. Oh, fuck math. Fuck finance. Fuck spend less than I make? What? That's what credit cards are for. Duh. And you went out, you spat out some bastard children, and now you're starting to look around. Here's this guy who's 40, he got his shit together, and then he has nothing to do with you. He's like, there's a childless 25-year-old babe over here who doesn't mind, like, being kind of nice and wifey. It doesn't have the fucking feminist lip or the entitlement or some other guy's children. Not to mention that small thing. And then you can't look at yourself in the mirror, so you got to cover your, again, definition of an American, blames other people for their decisions and their consequential fuck-ups. You guys got to go running, so there's obviously something wrong with that guy who is fiscally responsible, didn't bring illegitimate rat bastard children into this world with a woman that wasn't stable, didn't get married until he was damn ready, and didn't make sure until he had his debts paid off that he started thinking about raising a family. What a fucking loser. Oh yeah, there's something wrong with that guy. No, you go cuddle up to that government check. You go cuddle up to it. You go hug it at night. Just, look out for paper cuts. I don't know how sex is going to work out, but you've made your bed, literally, and you go have that. You with your children and your government checks, you go. I think we're just going to have. What did I do today? I had luxury ice cream. Luxury, what do we call it? Premium ice cream. Had premium ice cream. Went to Sebastian Joe's. Then I went to a jazz club. I went for an hour run, 6-mile run around a beautiful park. Woke up at 11:30. What else? I did some videos. I did some consulting. I got my $100 per hour that I always do at Asshole Consulting. God, what a fucking loser. What a fuck. There's something obviously wrong with me and all those other 40-somethings who actually make a lot more than I do. Best of luck, babes. Toodles.